Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, your host for the show, and we are so excited. It's almost football season. The Gators are opening up September 3rd against Utah, who's ranked in the top 10, I think number 7, and they're actually a 2-point favorite coming into the Swamp. So how about that? We got ourselves a real ball game. It used to be that you had nothing but cupcakes on the first game of the season, and I think we've won something like 32 of our last 33 home games. So this is a great departure from tradition. So we're going to see what happens. But Meldon Law is giving away 2 great seats to the Utah game, along with a $100 gift certificate to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where we're broadcasting from now. You can see Steve Spurrier's helmets behind me, and we're very excited that the Billy Napier era is finally ready to commence. So all you Gator fans there, let's get going and support our Gators and show them that we can fill the stands and we can create some energy around Gator football that's been lacking in the last several years. Anyhow, a couple other events going on. Gator volleyball, top 15 team in the country. They're always good under Mary Wise. For 30 years, Mary has led one of the top programs in the country, and we're giving away 4 tickets and a 2-pack of tickets for all of the Gator matches for the big opening. They're having a volleyball tournament August 26 and 27, this coming Saturday and Friday. So check on that. And August 30th, Stanford, which won 5 out of 6 national championships from 2012 until 2017, is coming to town. And we've got a 4-pack of tickets for the Stanford match, along with a $50 gift certificate to Harry's Bar and Grill. And finally, we've got the Hippodrome Theater, a very cool play, Fahrenheit 451. Those of you who are old enough, you'll remember the book. It's a very exciting show, and getting the Hippodrome Theater back in action is always fun. We had a great time last week at the Riley Auditorium in Ocala, and you need to check out the Riley. They're always having good shows. We had the Tom Petty tribute band, Wildflowers, there last week, and what a turnout. The place was packed. Meldon Law had a big party before the show, and everybody really enjoyed two very, very good acts performed that night. And for those of you that haven't seen the Riley, it's an awesome auditorium, holds about 700 people, very, very well designed, and it's been renovated substantially in recent years. So I'm touting the Riley. Just go online, Riley Center, Ocala, and you'll see everything that's going on. So that's a little bit of what's going on as far as our world. I will also mention that we have our radio show that's entering the 25th year. I'm sorry, 20th year. 20th year is starting September of 2022. Will be on the Sky for continuous every Saturday morning at 10:30 on 97.3 The Sky. Listen to Meldon Law Talk. You'll really enjoy it. There's a lot of fun things that go on at that show as well. And as far as 25th anniversary, September starts the 25th anniversary of the Meldon Law Scholar Athlete of the Week award that we co-partner with TV 20 on. So check that out. And if you know an outstanding senior high school scholar athlete from the North Central Florida area, please either go to TV 20 and they have a link on there for the scholar athlete, or go to Meldon Law and you'll find the link on our webpage nominate your Scholar Athlete of the Week. And at the end of the year in May, we have a big banquet at the Hilton Hotel, and we'll choose our Scholar Athletes of the Year, one male and one female. So it's a big deal, and this is our 25th anniversary, so check it out. Anyhow, we are very, very excited to have our first guest today, a famous aspiring musician, Quincy Allen Flint. How are you doing today, Quincy?
I'm doing great.
Now, you go by Quincy?
Yes,
for
sir.
For your friends?
For my friends, they can call me Quincy. For the music folks, they can call me Quincy Allen Flint or Quincy, whatever works.
Okay, well, good. Now, I understand that you've jumped into music and you're starting to take it seriously, right?
That is right. Let me say before we get kicked off, congratulations on 20 and 25 years. That's really great. The radio show is great, and the scholarship. That's really great work. But yeah, you were saying, how did I get kicked off? Is that right?
Well,
with music?
Kind of what I was interested in is, I'm reading your bio, and your career kind of started with, the advent of COVID hitting us all, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I did start writing music at the very beginning of COVID-19. So I stopped going to work in March 2020, and I was still doing work at home. I don't know if I was as productive as I was, back when I was at work. But I found that I had a little spare time on my hands when I wasn't. Normally, I would have been driving to work. I think a lot of people ended up making bread. I don't know if you were one of those people. My girlfriend...
We cooked a lot.
My girlfriend liked doing bread and embroidery. But I found that I really dug my heels into doing music. I'd been playing music locally for maybe 6 months. I started going to the open mic at the Bull. That's our second guest, is Jacob Larson. I've been going there for about 6 months, playing just covers, and I was not very good. I might be the first to tell you, but I probably wouldn't be the last. And then COVID hit, and I said, what the heck? I'm going to try writing a song. And I wrote my first one in March. And it was kind of addicting. I wrote one, and then a couple months passed by, and I wrote a flurry more, and now I've recently written my 45th song, so I'm closing in on close to 50 now.
Now, I understand you're an engineer by background, right?
That's right. I am an engineer. I came to UF in 2015 to study electrical engineering at UF, and I received my doctorate in May. And since
of what year?
May of this year.
2022?
That's right.
You got a PhD in electrical engineering?
Yes, sir.
You're smart as hell then, because I can't even read the books.
For me it's fun. I grew up, my mom is a math teacher. I grew up doing that kind of thing. It's what I like to do, but I've found that music is a new passion of mine, and it's kind of taken over my life. I now do engineering part-time instead of music part-time, and music takes up most of my work life now.
Well, that's exciting. I went on your website and checked it out. I listened to Sing Me a Song.
Cool.
And I thought that was, I liked the words. I thought it was an engaging song. I liked the music. I liked the words. How did you come about writing that?
So that's Sing Me a Song. Thank you for listening, and thanks for taking note. Sing Me a Song... sometimes you write them and they really mean something special to you, and you can remember where you were and why you wrote it. That's not one of those. That's one of those ones I don't really remember how that one came about, but I was picking a little further up the neck than I normally do, and I had a faster melody in mind, and it just kind of came. They come and go like the wind. Sometimes if you're in the right spot at the right time and you have a pencil, you can come away with a song. Sometimes they come to you, and they just go in one ear and out the other. It's kind of a mystery sometimes.
So you write with a pen or a pencil?
Half the time. I mean, this is 2022, so the other half of the time I write on my phone. I'm just somewhere, I think, that's a good line. So I'll make a note of it. I get home, and the pen and paper's great. I've actually found that for me, I like using a computer. Being able to delete your lines is quicker.
Okay.
If it matters.
So you use both. Sometimes you'll do pen to paper, and sometimes you'll do the computer.
That's right.
Okay. Well, is one facilitate writing better than the other?
I think not really. I mean, I've found recently that I prefer the computer just because I can very quickly get my ideas onto paper. But just depends on where I am and what I have at my disposal at the time.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I certainly use a computer to do a lot of my writing. However, I'm still old school enough to have a legal pad and a pen or a pen, usually a pen, not a pencil. And I'm just one of those folks that likes to get inspired by putting the pen to the paper.
Old-fashioned.
I don't know if it's old-fashioned.
Well, you've got your legal pad, and they have engineering paper. I don't know if you know that, but there's special engineer paper, and that's what I have around my house.
So tell us what engineering paper looks like.
Well, your paper is yellow, I assume.
Yes.
Engineering paper is slightly less yellow. It's still yellow, and where you have horizontal lines, this has horizontal lines and vertical lines, kind of like a grid.
So you can graph things?
So you can graph things, and if you have ugly handwriting like a lot of engineers, you can be sure that you stay within the lines. It's nice paper.
Okay, I need to get me some of that.
You do? I'll get you some. I'll get you a pad.
So anyhow, as a aspiring songwriter, and I was very impressed to see that last year you were nominated for Songwriter of the Year by the Songwriter Showcase of America. And tell us a little bit how that evolved.
Well, sometimes it's not always clear how these things, I guess that's my answer so far for a lot of these, but that was one I ended up playing at a music festival down in South Florida, or what was it called? It was in DeLand, Florida. And just as part of their festival procedures, they have awards. And so they have awards for Best New Artist, Best Artist of this variety, and Best Songwriter. And I was nominated for this award, and I didn't win it, but I was nominated for it, and when you're nominated for a nice award like that, it belongs on your website.
I got it. And you're also signed with Painted Lady Records, is that correct?
That's right. That's a small, growing music label in town called Painted Lady Records. Small independent, there's only 4 artists on it. And I'm one of them. I'm working on my first album right now, and the end is in sight, but it's not a near sight. It's something further off. But that's something I'm excited to be involved with. To help bring my music to a wider audience.
So, how is Painted Lady distribute music? I mean, is it mostly digital that its distribution, or are there still I know some people collect vinyl.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about what your vision is as far as how to get your music out there.
Well, this is probably the same sort of problem any musician has, and I'm not sure exactly what model the record label will adopt or is using right now. I think nowadays, for somebody to enter into an industry, the upfront costs are probably a major hurdle. And so I think that the ability to do online distribution is a major boon to anybody wanting to share their music on a wide scale. But I also think that anybody who wants to be able to kind of make a living out of this will go out and they'll probably print vinyl and CDs. I don't know all the exact numbers, but when you're on Spotify, you have to have a certain number of plays to make money, right? And it's a very small amount of money you get per play. Whereas if you sell one vinyl record, maybe it costs you $15, and you could sell it for $20, and that $5 is really just the margin that a musician can come away with. And $5 maybe isn't a bunch, but it's better than maybe 5 million plays on Spotify.
Well,
and it's something people can take away and say, "Look, I really have something to show for this guy I saw."
Well, I am a big fan of Spotify. And the thing I love about Spotify is you're actually paying for the music. I think it's 10 or 12 bucks a month, something like that. And I feel like I'm not stealing music. In the old days, I'd go and buy CDs, and before that, I bought cassettes, and before that, I bought cartridges, and before that, I bought vinyl. And I felt like I was contributing to the success of the artist. Now you can really get anything anywhere. You can go on YouTube and find just about any artist and play the music for free. But with Spotify, you actually get the entire album presented to you, and I find that to be terrific.
I think so too. I think it's made the marketplace for music more efficient. There's more competition, and so only the best really rise up. And but it's made it available for everybody to share their music. And if you like a music artist that you'd never heard before, you can go out and you liked a CD. People are even making cassette tapes now, by the way. And if you thought, man, that was something of the 80s and 90s, you're wrong. They're bringing it back, I guess.
Well, I work out 3 days a week, and we use our garage as our gym. And my wife and I have a trainer, and we work out. And so I always pick my Spotify music for our workout session, and I have an eclectic taste, and it's amazing how much music is available now online. Pandora, Spotify, a gazillion other places to consume music. And you're right. It offers an opportunity for new artists to get into the marketplace and expose your music, your songwriting to other folks. However, it's no different than 60 years ago when you still needed to try to figure out how am I going to get a buzz going on for this music. So what are some of the ideas you have as far as how to popularize your music?
Well, I don't have any major ambitions of being a household name. It's not really something, unless you're Bob Dylan, I don't think many people pay all that much attention to the type of music I make. And I don't mean that in any negative way. I just mean that I want to have my expectations set to where I'd like to make music that people enjoy. I hope that people do find something of value in my music. But I really got into it not as a business mindset, but with rather a mindset of a creative outlet for myself. So at the end of the day, I really write the songs because it's something I like to do. Okay, well, that's out of the way. That's the way the songs come about. How do I market them? I do make videos, and I share them on YouTube occasionally. That's something that takes a lot of work to get going. I've also been working on my album. I think that via YouTube, Spotify, that sort of thing is the most effective way of getting it out there. Another thing that I do that happens to be good for my music career is my involvement with these community music events that I've been doing over the last couple of years. They've really taken off in the last 6 months to 8 months. So I've been organizing local music events, and I bring artists from all around the state. These have been mostly free events. They've all been free events so far. And that's one of those ways where I can build a name for myself in the community just because I wanted to be involved with the community, but it happens to be good for getting my name. That's how I'm involved with this podcast. And maybe there's a couple people that say, that guy's got a nice T-shirt on, and maybe I'll try his music or something.
Well, I'll tell you, you're in the right town as far as fostering musicians. Gainesville has a long history. Did you know there were 9 members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from Gainesville?
I didn't know that, and I'm trying to think if I could think of them, but I could think of at least one.
You got Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, so that's 5 right there.
Is that right?
Yeah. And then,
okay, that makes it easier.
Okay, and now there's Bo Diddley. Okay, so now you're up to 6. Stephen Stills is 7. Okay, and 8 or 9 are 2 members of the Eagles. Bernie Ledden and Don Felder.
That's right. That's great. And I actually saw Stephen Stills get his honorary doctorate here at UF in 2018 while I was receiving my master's degree.
That's exciting. Yeah, I think the music school, there's a Stephen Stills room that he donated to the School of Music here in Gainesville. But he used to sell Coca-Colas at the stadium when he was a kid, and spent some time here during his career. So I think Gainesville, because it's a large college town in the South, has kind of the special recipe for creating a musical environment where people are well received.
Yeah, that certainly is true. I mean, it's a large university. It's not a large town. Whereas you look at places like Jacksonville, and the music kind of just happens because there are so many people that want to get involved. Gainesville is wonderful, and there's always a revolving kind of people, the audience members and things like that. But it doesn't just happen out of the blue, We've got the recipe for good things, but it does take kind of grassroots movements to keep that sort of thing going. I mean, the city has done a lot of great things with the Bo Diddley stage, bringing the free Friday concerts. I think that's amazing. And you've also got, more of grassroots things. That's government. But you have people like Music G&V. There's a guy named Brandon Telg who's done a lot of wonderful things for supporting artists and getting their names out, like you mentioned before. He's been a real asset to the community. I know that Meldon Law has been a supporter of things like that. Now, I'm only aware of it in the last few months, but it turns out you've been doing it for decades. And so it's not just, I know what you're saying, it's not just the town, it's the people. It's people that want to take up the mantle and carry on.
Have you been listening to Wombat Radio at all?
I have, yes.
Isn't that cool?
I love what they do. They played one of my songs on it, and I felt
did?
very great. They did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So for those of you that don't know, Wombat Radio is 90.1 FM, and it's a very chilled out station. They play all kinds of music, and I wouldn't pigeonhole it as any kind of music. It's very, I mean, I think it's Saturday morning is jazz morning, and then they have blues some certain other days, and but during the regular session, they're just playing a very eclectic group of music.
They really do, and what's more is they even make a point of playing local musicians. So we're not all out there selling thousands of albums, but there are some really wonderful musicians that are local, and they've found their way onto the airwaves. And one of my music friends even hosts one of their shows, Across the Prairie, by it's Kathy DeWitt that does that. But yeah, they're great. They're real. You know her?
I know Kathy. I've known Kathy DeWitt since 1970.
Wow.
So
And the Patchwork Sisters.
I met her and her husband at the time, Jim, when I moved to Gainesville, and she was part of the music scene back then. And very beautiful voice, really accomplished musician, and she was a great musician 50 years ago. So
she's a great musician and a great asset to our community. She really has kept it going, and she's taken people under her wing, and she's even involved, or she was involved at the Arts and Medicine program, too.
Yes, and are you familiar? The Arts and Medicine program is phenomenal here.
It really is. That's one of those things, maybe it's easy to overlook how important it is to have somebody that kind of can provide a service for you when you're out in the hospital and in need, and that's a beautiful thing to do.
So the Arts and Medicine program was started here many, many years ago. A friend of mine, Mary Rockwood Lane, was instrumental in getting it started, along with a number of other great artists, and they incorporated music into the healing of patients at the UF Health. It used to be Shands Hospital, but now it's UF Health. But anyhow, what an amazing program. It's not just music, but art and all kinds of different Tina Mullins was I can't forget Tina because she did a lot of the early work. She's still the director out there, I believe, and so Gainesville. With its great local musicians, actually created jobs for people to come into the hospital and brighten the lives of many patients, including young kids who are suffering from some of them fatal diseases. And they really brighten their lives. They do a great job. It's now well ingrained in the healing process for patients that come to UF Health. So I want to give them a shout out.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. So you moved to Gainesville in 2015.
Yes, sir.
So you've been here 7 years. You moved here to go to engineering school.
That's right.
Where'd you do your undergrad?
I went to a small school in Minnesota. Nothing special. It was a small liberal arts school. That's just what people in the North do, that kind of thing. Where in South, they like the public universities.
Are you a Minnesotian?
I grew up in South Dakota, but I'm from Dallas.
Oh, what part of South Dakota?
The east side is a town called Brookings. It's home to South Dakota State University, the Jackrabbits. And that's where my mom teaches.
Okay, well, I like it. Well, it's certainly really fascinating to, see your evolution in, you move to Gainesville, you get your master's degree, you get your PhD, say, oh, well, I'm going to start writing because I got a little bit of time because I don't have to drive all over the place now. And I think COVID really did change a lot of people's lives in dramatic ways.
That's right. I ended up writing music, and I wanted to tell you this, too, on the podcast while I got your ear is, I do play music, but one of the things I've taken a lot of pride in more recently is my ability to facilitate events in which people come and do music. In July, this was last month, Meldon Law helped us sponsor the First Street Folk Festival. It was square, downtown. Jacob Larson, who's up next, owns the bowl, and I worked with him to organize this event. I went all around town to gain some dollars to help run our event so that we were able to, pay the production costs and get our artists paid and things like that. Meldon was our major sponsor for the event, along with a bunch of other great local businesses. And it's through the support that we were able to make this possible. It's something we want to do again next year, and hopefully it will be an annual event that'll help bring people to our town for music. It'll help liven up our community. It went over very well this year in the first event, even though we did it in the dead of summer and we went through a bit of a rain patch. We had over 300 or 400 people come, and it was very well received by the community, and we really are looking forward to doing that again next year.
Well, that's great. Did you do it right there on First Avenue?
First Avenue and First Street, that's right.
Yeah, that's a classic area. I know that they blocked it off. Is
right.
it still blocked off there?
It is currently blocked off. I know there's been some discussion within the city about that. It's currently blocked off, and the restaurants have made use of it. They've put chairs out, and I think that restaurant goers certainly have enjoyed that. And even if it gets unblocked off, maybe we could take one weekend and
block
make it
it
ours
off.
again.
Yeah. Well, I think the city of Gainesville is really looking to promote musical events. I know at the end of October and the beginning of November, we've got 3 weekends where we've got music festivals coming up.
That's right.
And for the longest time, I don't know if you knew this, but I was Tom Petty's first lawyer, and Tom and I worked on the Mudcrutch festivals back in 1970.
Wow.
And it was December of 70 and January of 71. I was with a group called the Candle People because we made candles to make a living. I had my law degree at the time, but we were basically making candles to survive. Anyhow, I had more fun putting that festival together, and it kind of grew organically. So what I would tell you is next year you'll do it even better, and you'll have a lot more people show up because the word gets out.
Hopefully. Will you be there?
I will be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got it on record.
If we're going to have everybody in town, up to date on what's going on. We're going to take a quick break on Meldon Law and Friends, and we'll be back in 60 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. Look what you have done to my truck.
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your
No,
fault.
it's not,
I am
it's not.
calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
This crazy lady here, this crazy lady, he might...
New client?
Yes, but this one might be a little tricky. When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're gonna need help, and they will help you.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder of Meldon Law, and here to entertain you for the next 30 minutes. We're having a great time here today, a music day, and my guest today is Jacob Larson, owner of The Bull, and we're going to get into that more in a few minutes. I want to remind everybody, go to our Meldon Law Facebook page. We are giving away tickets for all the athletic events at the University of Florida, including the Utah game. You can get 2 prime tickets for the Utah game starting at 7 o'clock Saturday, September 3rd, plus a $100 gift certificate to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where we are currently broadcasting from in the podcast room. And those of you that haven't been out here, it's a trip. What do you think, Jacob? Have you been out here before?
This is my first time inside, and I got a tour from Selma and got to see all of the things. Believe it or not, make sure you have to wash your hands in the restroom upstairs if you get the chance. All of the plays that are written out, the wallpaper, former plays that some of Spurrier's favorites, and pretty much every room or wall has something on it that's enticing and really good history. Even if you had never been to Gainesville, just to see the history of the Gators and other sports too.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jacob's excitement is, typical of people that have come here for the first time. They go, holy mackerel, this is someplace. I mean, we're sitting here in a podcast room dedicated so we can sit around and share ideas with everybody. And, so I really want to thank Spurrier's for hosting us and doing a great job. And the food is terrific here.
I'm going to try that out.
Do you know it's all farm to table here?
I did not know that.
Yes, they're all locally sourced food here. They don't even have a freezer except for the ice cream.
Wow. That's good. I know they're a sponsor for WMBT, and I'll have to listen a little closer, make sure that they're bragging about their farm to table.
Wombat.
That's right, 90.1.
We love
Gainesville.
the Wombat.
Yeah, I think I heard Quincy, or you guys were talking about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, Meldon Law is a sponsor for Wombat.
Man. Yeah,
and
it's a really great asset, a cultural good for Gainesville. I love how diverse it is, and you can listen to it pretty much with anyone in your family from any age, and probably from any culture in Gainesville is going to have a point on there where they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to advertise other stuff?
No, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no. We're talking about everything. No, really, one of the functions that we have on Meldon Law and Friends is just to talk about what's going on in North Central Florida and get people. This is a really exciting time of the year because we've got all these, schools back in session. Everybody's back from summer vacation. No matter what you're doing. Whether it's sports related, school related, or not related to any of those things, now is really the rebirth every year of Gainesville. At the end of August and the beginning of September, all of a sudden the town comes alive.
Yeah, really. I've been in Gainesville since '94, and August is kind of it's the start of the year. We kind of think, or a lot of Gainesvillians think of our year as, late August to August is really our fiscal. So,
yeah, well, school year has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah.
And anybody that's got kids, if you're going on vacation, a lot of times you go during the summer. The school is out of session except for summer A and B, which just have a small number of students. And just regular folks here, we take off, When I started my law practice back here in 1971, they closed the courthouse for the entire month of August. And all of the judge, they had one emergency judge, and they'd rotate between the judges. And they said, it's too friggin' hot in August. We're going to close the courthouse, and everybody can go to, actually, they'd either go to Crescent Beach and St. Augustine Beach or to the mountains in North Carolina.
Okay. Not Itchnatuckney?
Well, yeah. No, so the Itchnatuckney, for those folks who couldn't afford to go to the mountains or have a place over at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Because the Itchnatuckey was, I think it was free back then. And when it's 97 degrees out and you want to chill out, you go to the Itchnatuckney River. We still do it, actually. That's just a blast.
Every time I go, I wonder why I don't go 10 times a summer, because it's so good. I think we've been 3 times this summer.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, the Itchnatuckney River is famous because there's lots of floats on the river, and there's a strong current that goes downstream, and you have a raft. You can rent a raft and take it to the top, and sometimes I'll put it in a trailer and take it up for you, and then you go down, and then you leave it, or vice versa. And the water is so refreshing. What is it, 72 degrees?
I think it's 72 clear, and then just between the cypress trees, and if you go past Dampier's Landing in the second run, there's a bunch of limestone little cutouts from just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So those of you, and they let you still drink beer on the run, right?
I can neither confirm nor deny that. But
is there a rule?
I think you have to have a stainless steel container for your water.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a little of inside information. Bring your actually, Meldon Law makes a stainless steel a tumbler. And we're gifting you one at the end of the show since you brought it up. And
right.
you can proudly take it down on the Itchnatuckney River and drink your water or whatever beverage is contained therein.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I want to ask you a little bit about the bull,
Yep.
and how to get started and why you're doing it and what's going on. Tell us about the bull.
Oh my goodness. How long is the podcast? 2 hours?
We got a long time. So
Okay.
keep going.
So this story, I'll truncate it, but the bull was started by two guys, Phil Hall and a Tree. They were putting it together starting in 2009, and it was completed January of 2011. In that time, I've been involved in nonprofits after graduating college at UF. But then in 2008, me and a friend of mine put together a nonprofit to help encourage the arts and social causes that were happening in the community, and then partnering with local businesses as well. So to create this amalgamation of an experience for people that either maybe came for the music or the artwork or the social cause, or they already liked the business, the coffee shop, or the kind of more boutique kind of bar experience or cocktail experience. And when they would have all those together, it would be a couple hours long. People might learn about the social cause. They might find a visual artist that they would want to follow, or hear music they never heard. The Bull was one of our favorite places to do these events. And after doing them every few months for a couple years, around 2014, January, Phil had said, essentially, you seem to have a lot more fun running this bar than I do, and I would like to offer to sell it to you, which I thought was crazy because I was and still am a community pastor, and I was like, I don't know, I mean, I don't mind having a tumbler full of water, but at the same time, I didn't know if I could do both of these things in multi-career, so I tried that for a little bit, and I managed it for him for 6 months just to kind of get my feet wet. And then in 2015, we drafted a contract for a full purchase, and I took it over. And it already was doing great things. It already was an amazing space that was created and put together by people in the community that had items like pews from a church that was restored, fireplace mantles from Louisiana after Katrina that were taken out, and the Bearded Brothers had restored and sold. We have 9 of those that we continue to have conversations around the fireplaces that had been in existence since probably pre-Civil War, at least all these moments of that our nation has gone through and all the wars. So I love to think that we're continuing a legacy of having good conversations around those fireplace mantles. And they were doing live music. They had some people that, Cole Miglis and other folks that had played local there, a fellow named Terry Plumeri, who has passed, but he was a world-renowned bass player for jazz nights, and we still do jazz every Tuesday now for over a decade with Jazzology. So there was legacy there that I felt would be a tragedy if it were to go away. And so part of that was impetus, and part of it was also just, I don't know how else to say this, but felt very right in my bones, and for counsel and different mentors that I have in processing with them, it was very conclusive that this seemed like the next right step to do in following my heart for loving our city, loving Gainesville, and creating cultural goods through the organization I was doing. Now I get to do that in a lot of ways, concentrated through this space.
So you're still the pastor?
Yeah, community pastor is just the way I love the community. Is I have a really great pub. And,
okay.
And through that we do.
I
lots
was reading something here that said something about the Vineyard Church.
Yep. Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that and what your involvement has been over the years.
Okay. So after graduating from college, or actually in the midst of graduating, I still had some electives to finish up, but I was hired into an organization called Young Life, and then after that got kind of recruited to be an associate and community pastor for the Vineyard Church, which was started across the street from where I live now in a house, because it started in the Jesus People movement in the 1970s in California. And I think if we're still doing it right, we're just a lot of hippies that believe that love actually wins, and we just put that as a benchmark.
My name back in the day was the hippie lawyer. So
All right.
You know,
We probably get along pretty well. The more we talk.
Anyhow, we're getting ready to take our first break here, and I wanted to, thank you for joining us. We're on Meldon Law and Friends, and we're going to be back in 60 seconds. Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Being a client at Meldon Law was special because I felt like I was really being listened to and I felt welcome by the entire staff. If I were in a situation where I needed legal advice and help, I would absolutely reach out to Jeffrey because his reputation alone speaks for itself. But on a personal level, I know that he would take care of me and help me solve those problems, and I would feel safe with him.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. We are having a blast today. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder of Meldon Law, and we've been in the North Central community serving folks primarily in the area of serious personal injury since 1971. If you ever have the need, please give us a call, 352-373-8000, or go to our website, meldonlaw.com. We would love to help you out. A lot of times we just get on the phone with folks, chat with them for a few minutes and get them in the right direction, and their anxiety has gone away. Something that you probably did as a community pastor once in a while.
Yeah, I think that's a nice marker. You see anxiety moving away, or are you creating anxiety? You're probably doing it wrong if you're creating anxiety.
Well, usually people, they know if they've got serious problems, and they seek out help. And we're very proud that we've been members of the community and helping folks out for over 50 years. So we're very happy about that. Now, I've been to the Bull several times. I love the Bull. I think you guys do a great job there.
Thank you.
And for me, it's very significant to see what you're doing there in keeping both music and, the camaraderie that you get when you have good music together. So why don't you address that a little bit?
Yeah, you kind of stumble upon this if you're an appreciator of music and live music. That space that happens when a lot of people are hearing a song that they all like. There seems to be this all of a sudden a sense that we all know each other, right? But really, we're just appreciating that we are all enjoying that same moment. And live music, for the cover songs, when that happens, does that. But also, one of the beautiful things that we get to celebrate at the Bull is singer-songwriters and the personal journeys that people have experienced and write, that Quincy was alluding to earlier. Some of the songs, when they come, and being able to share that, it's like someone sharing a memoir, even if it's just a snippet. And there's moments where we can connect with another human in their humanness, their creatureness, their journey. Also brings us together, I think maybe even a more unique way, especially when those folks have been living in the community and they might be responding or writing about things that are happening at a local level that help us to process things together. Like downtown's changing quite a bit, and there's people on both sides that are the spectrum of not wanting any change and people wanting all the change possible. And those places of tension are really where the most beautiful collaborations and creativity happen. I think musicians can help us get into that space when they communicate on both those ends.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but back in 1974, I founded the Great Southern Music Hall, and there was not one restaurant or bar down there that had music playing.
Wow.
And in a period of 4.5 years, we created a vibrant music scene. 6 months after we opened, Lillian's Music Store opened and started bringing in live acts for the next 40-some years until they went to DJs.
Yeah.
So I have seen the birth or rebirth of downtown in many ways. I wanted to mention that I feel that I miss a lot of old friends in restaurants, such as like Leonardo 706. I don't know if you had ever been there on Monday or Thursday
That was my
night.
first date with Emily. Was at in Gainesville. Was at Leonardo.
You were trying to impress her.
I was.
So those of you that have been around, you knew that Monday and Thursday nights were great nights there, and they supported not only musicians but artists. You know, they used to have rotating exhibits there, and Steve Solomon, who was a very old dear friend of mine, decided that they were going to, close it. Mark Newman, his partner, had been there as partners for 20 or 35 years. And before that, Steve and his wife Sandy had run it, and that was a great resource for music.
Yeah.
Right down the street from you, Emiliano's had music for many, many years, and the DePaz family owned it, and they when COVID came, they closed. Actually, both Leonardo 706 and Emiliano's closed right at or before COVID. So we've lost some other things. Anna's Trattoria. I don't know if you ever went out there. They had a jazz night there. Nick DeCarlos used to play there.
Okay. Francesca's over by my neck of the woods also closed, I think, during COVID, and they had a jazz night as well.
Yeah.
And we went from having pretty rich jazz culture to, I think it was just me for a bit. There's a new place called Baby J's that's focusing on jazz. It's on the new university side, next to like Madrinas and Crybabies.
Well, that's great. I mean, I've seen a lot of rebirth going on. I think after COVID, I think we're going to see it. How did you survive COVID?
It was the love of the community. So thank you, everyone that loved the Bull and either wished me well or helped financially or bought ridiculous amounts of gift cards that I think some of you have still not used. So come and use those because we can afford for you to cash those in now.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, but so I know that there were all kind of weird things going on. People were selling beer.
Yeah.
Because I think they did away with the ordinance that prevented you to have an open container, right?
They did, and kudos to the city of Gainesville for experimenting and trying to find ways to help our downtown businesses as well. Because at one point, and including in Midtown, which is what we call the area across from the University of Florida, the city looked to shut down, I think it was 6 different streets. They had more, and then allowed businesses to say if they would want to take advantage of that or not. Businesses that already had a good front porch scene chose not to help, have parking. And COVID days, in the thick of it, we stayed outside. And our street in front of us was one of the ones that is also shut down. And this, what was it now, 3 Thursdays ago, the city has voted to approve a permanent shutdown to create a pedestrian promenade. And so design and those things is still not yet solidified, but we'll be able to take advantage of having a space. Don't know what they're going to do with the open container. That's been brought back to where you can't walk around at the moment, but we'll have a space for festivals, and we already do. We do salsa in the streets and Quincy's Folk Festival. We're a part of the Fest acoustic show this year. We're going to be a beer garden for this Downtown Arts Festival. We do a big St. Patrick's party. So we're wanting to continue to include, all of the folks and the diversity that Gainesville is, and have those spots so that we can be outside and have a good time.
Well, it's a neat street that Jacob's Bull is on. Across the street from you, I think I don't know if there used to be a pot shop. I think
It's still there. It used to be the old Rice Hardware, is what I heard.
That's it. So Mike Rice is a good friend of my son, and his dad and grandfather had Rice Hardware there since at least the 1930s.
Wow.
And it was a very, very successful hardware store. There was another hardware store that was on the corner of Main Street and your street, where the sushi restaurant is.
Okay.
So before Home Depot and Lowe's, there were hardware stores that people
Like True
used
Value.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have a little toy section. I grew up in a small town, so I got to experience probably a 20-year difference upbringing that people that were 20 years older than me experienced. But we'll have people come to the Bowl that sometimes visiting, and we just had a woman just last week. She goes, "I got my first bike at Rice Hardware. It was red." And people that remember what the Bowl was a Beasley and Williams furniture store, I think till 1994, until Liz Fetty took it over and put in the Strand. But I love listening to people come in and just tell stories, and I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah, Liz used to cut my hair.
Come on.
No, I've known Liz for forever. And that's what happened. So I want to encourage everybody to go check out the Bull.
Thank you.
It's a really nice group of people. It's friendly. You won't be intimidated, I promise you. And the beer is awesome. I checked out your menu before coming on the podcast here, and the beer selection is incredible. I mean, really, Jacob has obviously gone to great lengths to make sure that if you want some brew, you're going to have a wide selection.
Yeah, we have almost one of about 8 different kinds of wines. We got about 20 non-alcoholic options as well, because to be a public house, have to have a little something for everybody.
Right.
And then through the week, we've got open mic Mondays, jazz Tuesday, Wednesday, salsa, bachata, merengue in the streets on Thursday with free lessons. That's sponsored by Gator Salsa. And we do some other sponsor things with.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
And so who plays the music?
Once a month, we have Ramos Pinta plays live music with his band. Otherwise, they have a DJ that plays out there. But we'll have up to 200 plus people in the streets dancing that are from, probably a third of them are patroning the Bull and other spots. But it's just such good theater just to walk around downtown and see that much life and people from 15 different countries that are a part of that scene.
Well, I'm going to have to bring my wife down. My wife is Cuban, so
yeah, I think lessons start at 7.
7:00, and she'll be teaching everybody.
She might be putting in the advance, and I don't know where you'll be yet.
I'll be having a beer.
That's right.
I'll be what? I can dance, but I'm a creature of the age I grew up in, so I dance jitterbug.
Oh man, yeah, I love jitterbug. We got a band Decchio and the Newcombs father-son duet with Dave Marsh on drums this Saturday. They're going to be playing swing music, and they've got vocals as well. So maybe Saturday's your next visit.
Saturday,
or Thursday
maybe.
and Saturday.
So what time? Let's go over again. What are the good times to, when the music is rolling?
Yeah, so Mondays are open mic, singer-songwriter. We had 2 upright bass player last night. That starts at 8. Tuesday is our later jazz at 9 outside. Wednesday, inside jazz at 8 o'clock. Thursday, lessons at 7, and then a social that follows till about 11 o'clock at night. Fridays, once a month, we have Quincy that does a show called Local Voices, with where he curates 3 musicians that are local singer-songwriters. And Saturdays and Sundays, we do a lot of repeats on jazz, different versions. Dan Stepp has a new band that he's put together called Wirebirds. It's chamber folk, 2 violins, cello, bass, steel guitar, and 2 vocals, female and male vocal, and he plays rhythm guitar. And I tell you, it's difficult for me because when I'm there, I don't want to leave, but I also have a wonderful family at home. So I try to get them to come out every once in a while. And then when I'm at home, I'm like, there's some really killer stuff going on down at the Bull.
What's the address for the Bull?
18 Southwest 1st Avenue in downtown historic Gainesville.
Okay, we're at the end of our show, but I want everybody to promise me they're going to check out the Bull. It's a great place, and it's exciting that they're going to make that into a permanent promenade, because a lot of the great college towns I've seen have done similar things and really created a fabulous atmosphere. I think the new hotel opening up is going to bring more people downtown. Lot 10, someday they might even develop Lot 10.
One day.
You never know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, thank you very much for joining us on Meldon Law and Friends, and thank you, Jacob Larson,
Thank you.
our guest, owner of the Bull. We'll see you next week on Meldon Law and Friends.